Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're joining. Welcome to Power Platform Today show. Today I've got Matt Collins-Jones, and this is a pre-recording, so we've spoken earlier than this is currently airing. You'll see this later on. Not that that matters. It's all still live, really. And with that, I shall bring on Matt. Welcome, Matt. You're live. Please say hello to everyone.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Time is but a construct. That's what Einstein said, or something like that. So, hello, everyone. I am Matt Collins-Jones. Most people call me MCJ because Matt Collins-Jones is a bit of a mouthful. One of these days, I'm going to have to retire that joke, but it's still funny right now. I'm a managing solution architect at Capgemini in the UK. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm a Microsoft MCT. I'm a Microsoft FTRSA in Power Automate, and I'm pretty sure if you give me enough time, I can find some more initials. So like that's a bit of a mouthful with all
Been
those.
collecting them, so MCJs and FTRSA.
Yeah, there's too many. It's like Pokemon though. Like once you start collecting one, you just gotta gotta get them all. So
And I think that you are a collector, certainly judging on what I'm looking at behind you within your room. Before we get into the Power Platform, unfortunately on camera on the stream they can't see it, but to your, well, I suppose it's left, depends on how it's flipped on the camera. Yeah,
left.
exactly. There's loads of Xbox controllers and a few consoles as well. So you must be into gaming, I would assume.
I'll give you a little tour.
There
This
they
is
are.
some. This is just some of the consoles and things. I'm very into gaming. I've been an Xbox gamer for I think about 20 years now. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember when Xbox came out.
That
But
that
before
fits.
that, yeah, before that, like Super Nintendo and stuff like that. And I have the original Nintendo, a Mega Drive. I also have some analog digitals, like they're like modern versions of
Hmm.
of like Nintendos and Mega Drives and stuff like that, compatible with old cartridges as well as controllers and stuff. And but yeah,
Nice.
gaming is my wife and I have TVs side by side in the living room. And people always comment like, "Is that just one really big TV?" Or is that two smaller TVs? I was like, no, let's say smaller, two 55-inch TVs next to each other. Because when we were dating, Fallout 4 was coming out,
Nice.
and we both turned to each other and said, if we both buy this game, we're not going to talk to each other for like 6 months. So she's like, "Do you want to just bring in the TV from the spare bedroom and we'll play it side by side?" I was like, "That's great." Oh, one was with headphones and stuff like that. And then after a couple months later, she's like, "I really like this setup. Should we just go buy another like big TV so we don't have to like share and swap out from a small 32-inch and a big like."
Yeah.
And I was just there like, "I love you. Like
That's
let's go
pretty.
buy another TV.
That
Yeah, let's
is
go do it."
really
Yeah.
cool. I you hear about people that, like, couples that will sit and read together in bed and things like that, but uh, gaming together as well. I actually, in fact, I know someone else as well who has something similar. They've got a setup, but PC gaming, so two PCs back to back. No, that's cool. That's good to be able to share that as well with your partner. Uh, why do you have so many control pads though? Like, because, well, I mean, they're all different designs, certainly.
They are all different designs. I like special editions of things. Like I don't you probably can't again, like more visual tours of the room. You can see down there on the stream, there's like a bunch of collectibles and things, and
Ah,
again
yeah.
up at the top as well.
Hmm.
If you can see, there's like the Halo Reach
Ah,
sort of collectibles and bobbleheads and all sorts of things. I like limited edition things, I like special editions of things. So I started to get a couple of controls from that, and then I play a lot. I play a lot of computer games, so I get like stick drift a lot on like different controllers and stuff. And then just kind of became a thing of like, oh, this controller looks nice, and I like the different. There's like different nods to different things. So
hmm.
again, you can't really see them, but there's a oh, what's it called? Sea of Thieves controller, and it's the idea is like a pirate ship, so you
Hmm.
kind of the controller is kind of textured like barnacles and stuff like that, and
Nice.
different accents, and um, I got a a Fallout controller because I'm a big Fallout fan, which is a custom labs controller, which is like a Microsoft's design your own controller. So you can design the shell of it, the color of the buttons, the bumpers, whether you have textured grips.
Wow.
It's great. And I bought that one, and if you look at the design, all of the different pictures on the design, because it's all I'm not sure if it'll come through on camera, but it's all kind of little different like Fallout Boys. You can't
Ah,
really see it very well,
cool.
but all the different characters here,
All right. Wow.
these all
Yeah.
these all correspond to different traits that your character can get in game.
Yeah.
So I kind of love the uniqueness of it, of having different things like this and like little Easter eggs and stuff. There's like a Doom controller and there's a Gears of War controller, different things. And so
Nice.
I'm just again, I'm just a collector. Like the thing is, when you are a kid and you don't have any money and you
Mm.
want that Tracy Island, right? You want that Thunderbirds
Hmm.
Tracy Island that everyone got for Christmas that one year, but you don't have any money, so you don't get it. And then, well, I mean, I did actually get it. My parents bought it for me, but what now that I've gotten older, I have this money that people give me for some reason, and I've gotten older. I've not grown up, so like there's just lots of toys and like there's Lego here, there's Lego on my desk. I'm currently revamping my Lego shelf because I have loads of Lego things. There's Lego under my desk to be built and
Nice.
other things. So yeah, just kind of more. I never grew up. I'm kind of like Peter Pan in that respect. So
Never grow up. It's overrated to grow up. That's what it is.
yeah.
But that brings me nicely then to time, because if you are playing that many games and you are that serious a collector and doing lots of other hobbies, how do you find time to do community power platform? Because I think for you there was that series of videos that you recorded. Now you did one a day for how long?
365 days.
How? How?
So so it's funny as well. I was talking to I was talking to Andrew Bibby about it, about like kind of like the idea of like, hey, I'd like to become an MVP one day. Can you help me with this path and this journey? And the thing he said to me is like, oh, um, I wouldn't really like. It was almost like he wouldn't recommend it. Like it's not a good idea. Like don't do this because because you'll probably want to have children and stuff like that and everything else, and all your time will go. So it just so happened that I started the videos November 2019.
Mhm.
Something interesting happened in March 2020, which meant I had plenty of time because I was not going anywhere
Right, yes.
for a good 6 months.
Yeah.
So I got to the end of the month and I'd like the look behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz sort of thing is I pre-recorded the videos.
Mhm.
I'd finish work. I'd have like an evening with my wife, said, hey, I'd go up and record some videos. I'd record like 3 or 4 videos, edit them down, schedule them to publish. I'd do that once or twice a week. On the weekend, sometimes I'd just spend all day like making videos and everything else. And it kind of got to like, well, I ended up, because I just record videos, I had more than the initial 30 days I was trying to do. So I had like 45, and I was like, oh, well, that's nearly 2 months. So you start recording a few more videos and a few more, and then eventually you get to 6 months. I was like, so 25, I'm nearly at 6 months on making videos. I was like, that's pretty good, isn't it? And she went, but you need to get to a year, don't you? And I was like, well, maybe. So yeah, just yeah, 2020 was just a time when I wasn't doing anything else, so I thought I'd just stay in and record some videos. And yeah, I got to the end of it, and I was there like, that's a good round number, like 365 videos. That's an accomplishment I can hang my hat on. And yeah, it was all good. So,
So,
and ironically, like November 1st, the day after I finished my last video, I became an MVP. So
right.
it's
I was just
kind
going to
of a
say, so
nice.
what was the result of all the videos? Was the MVP as a result of that, or was it that already happening? Like, do you have any
Um,
sort of idea about it?
so it was about my good friend Eric in Canada reached out to me and said, "Hey, love all the videos that you're doing, things like that. do you want to become an MVP? So like this is like good 7 months into the journey.
Hmm.
So he nominated me July 1st, which is traditionally MVP renewal day.
Hmm.
So they all got their renewals. He nominated me. I then had to put in 365 contributions as well as like all the user groups that I was doing because I was running the Manchester user group at the time, all the speaking opportunities, of which there were many in 2020 because it was all virtual.
Yep.
Although I did launch the event at a conference in Brussels in 2019, where I met some of my best friends in the world. I met like Mark Christie and Malin Martinez, and Chris Huntingford was there, and Ferrigan Nadir was there. There's like all sorts of people there.
Hmm.
It was great. So it's kind of like part way through it that like Eric reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to become an MV?" I was like, "Yeah, sounds great." Um, but yeah, it does. Time is one thing you can never really get more of.
Mm.
So I felt like because I have a son now, my son's going to be 4 in November, and I found that I do my best work in kind of 5 to 15 minute increments in between other things. So it's like
Yes.
if I can just like find 5 minutes to like write that one paragraph of an article, or if I can find that 15 minutes to coordinate with two speakers about an event that's coming up, that's when I'm most productive, and I just kind of try and squeeze everything else in because it's difficult, like, like trying to run a podcast and be a good dad and partner and like everything else. It's like it all and work full-time job and
Yes.
all the money and then see family, it's a lot. So to go back to like what Andrew Bibby was saying to me was, are you sure you want to do this? Like it's like because like not just the journey to become an MVP, but when you are an MVP and when you're part of the Microsoft community, it can take
Mm.
a lot of things from you. And I always say this, and it's the best advice I was ever given by when I became an MVP. I reached out to Amy Holden because I was chatting to her about something, and I said, "Oh, do you have any advice for someone that's just become an MVP?" And her only advice was, "You can do anything, but you can't do everything."
Hmm.
And I think that's true in life as it is in any sort of community work, is that you can do whatever you want, but you can't do everything that you want.
Yeah.
And finding that right balance in life and in community and in work and everything else is the only way that you find any sort of happiness.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because if you go too far one way or another, it can end in disaster.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. I forget the author. I think it's Cal Newport, the slow productivity concept. So he's argued for the fact that in our modern day economy, where there's so many thought workers and creative individuals, essentially, a lot of our work these days is, I mean, what we do. It's projects. It's delivering projects. Spend a lot of time thinking. Jeez. And so many people try to do too much at once. And actually, the best thing you can do is go slower. It's actually take time and focus on quality over quantity. And if you can do that, then things tend to happen. Like everyone's chasing everything because they're hoping that if they throw enough, if you cast enough nets, you're going to catch fish. Uh, However, if you focus on quality and you really work on being the best you can be in that thing that you're really doing, all the good stuff will come from that. Quality
Yeah,
breeds success, really.
yeah. Uh, it's the same concept, but it was for me the because I don't have time to read. Is Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who created
Mm.
Mario.
Yep.
It's kind of like funny this quote is like he said that a bad game is bad forever. A delayed game is good eventually. Which in this modern era of like updates to gaming
Hmm.
and where you
Yeah.
can completely change a game throughout the course of its life cycle because of Let's Live services. But I get the concept is that like take your time.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it takes you 1 week to write a blog post or 1 month to write a blog post. It'll be good eventually, but like a bad one that you push out or maybe use AI to fill in the blanks because you don't have time to,
Yeah.
it's gonna be bad forever. And you
Yeah.
don't you don't tarnish your reputation with that. So
That's really interesting because the same thing with Half Life. I'm pretty sure it was Gabe Newell he refused to release Half Life until it was ready, until it was perfect, and everyone was like, we have to. There's deadlines. There's this. The business is going. We have to release the games. Like, it's not ready. We cannot release it. If we release it, it's going to be bad because people will not like it. And I think it was almost word for word the same quote. I wonder if you probably got it from the same place, to be honest. But yeah, no, there's a lot to be said for that, definitely. Um, but yeah, going to the videos then. So for the 365 days, you recorded a video.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as you explained already, a few in a week kind of thing. But what would you say you learned in that time? What changed other than the MVP?
Um, so the reason why I did it is so my background when I came from an end user background. So I was an end user of Dynamics CRM 4.0 on premise.
Oh wow,
And
you're going
then
back
when
that far. I didn't actually
yeah, yeah.
realize. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah, I'm old. You can't tell because I don't have grey hair. But you know, um, I started as I came in as a support technician, like a support desk, help desk person.
Yeah.
And our internal system was a CRM 4.0 on-premise system, and it was for case management, it was for asset management, and it was for field service engineering. Before field service was a thing. And I remember I was like maybe 3 months into the job, and my boss turned to me and said, "Hey, you went to university, you know about like computers and stuff." Like I was like, "We all know about computers, but this is what I do." Do you want to try like I need to update this thing that sends an email out? Do you want to try and do it? And it was a workflow, and I kind of like started playing around with it, and I kind of like got it working, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then for the next sort of 4.5, 5 years. Whenever there was a time to like try and change the system, it was de facto me and then later on my boss to do it because we didn't have a support contract with a partner to make ad hoc changes.
Hmm.
So for the next few years, like I kind of progressed through my career there as like second line support and help desk supervisor, etc. But what I really loved doing was building those systems, and we went through all the different upgrades, like to 2011 online and 2013 and
Hmm.
2015. And and my learning was basically just learning on the job, like learning like I need to do this thing, how do I
Yeah.
go and do the thing? So eventually I kind of like my boss turned to me one Saturday and said, "Hey, do you know you get paid for this for a living?" Like we were working for like £50 on a Saturday,
Hmm.
like in addition to our salaries, and just said, "Hey, we can do this for a living." So I went home, saw the job adverts, updated my CV, and then sent them out. And the next Saturday, I was in with my boss again on Saturday, and he said, "We should really update our CVs and like go and go out there and go do this." And I turned to him and said, "Well, I already did, and I sent my CV out, and I have a job interview on Tuesday." And I'll never forget, he turned to me and he said, "Well done." Like,
Wow.
because he was a sort of manager that was kind of like, "Hey, get out there and go do the thing." Like, I'm not. I always think about this idea of like leaders versus managers. A leader will like show you the way and do it themselves, but they'll also expect you to at some point pass them.
Hmm.
Whereas a manager is someone that has to have control over, like this is sweeping generalization, have to have control of a situation and doesn't like it when staff leave because it leaves them with a problem because they have to fix it.
Yeah.
Whereas I would always try to be the sort of leader. It's like I want to embrace my workforce to grow and to do everything else. This is a long-winded way of saying I had no formal education in terms of Power Platform. It was all kind of like learning blogs and everything else.
Hmm.
And workflows are my thing, like automation and everything else. When Power Automate came out, and again, like I did go to university and did some coding and stuff like that in databases, but I'm not a developer. So when Power Automate came out, my boss turned to me and said, "Hey, can you like, we need to do this thing. There's no developer available for like 6 months. Can you see if you can figure out in Flow, Microsoft Flow, as it was known at the time?" So I said, "Sure." So I just started playing around with it, and then instantly it's like, right, okay, it's sending me this thing called JSON, JSON, which then led me down a rabbit hole of like, right, what is JSON?
Yeah.
What are objects? What are this? And very quickly it became like I don't know anything. Like this is a new technology. I am overwhelmed. I don't think I'll ever learn this. I'll need to run some sort of training course. So the reason behind it was I loved automation. I managed to automate some things in like hotel rooms because I was bored, like when traveling and stuff like that. And I say like, I like this, but I know that if I just try and add this into part of my job, I'm not going to learn it.
Hmm.
So the videos were actually a mechanism for me to learn out loud. So I went through every aspect of Power Automate, or MS Flow as it was known, for the first 14 days of my challenge. Thanks, Microsoft, for changing it after I'd already come up with this MS Flowvember thing to release a video every day in November. Flowvember. That was great marketing. And then like 14 days in, they're like, do you know what? We're going to change it to Power Automate. Great. Thanks, Microsoft. Can't change the videos that are already scheduled to go
Nope,
out.
they're gone.
They're already recorded, not re-recorded in like 20 videos. So it was more a way for me to like just go ahead and learn.
Hmm.
So I would go in and learn all the different expressions. I'd learn different things about connectors. I'd use different controls so that I could learn the platform and become an expert in automation and become an expert in those fields. And like one of the reasons why I have a blog as well as a YouTube channel is I have a terrible memory. Great at learning, rubbish at forgetting, rubbish at remembering, just great at forgetting. Can't even remember the words. So it was kind of a way for me to learn the thing, but then if I recorded it, if I ever needed it,
Mm.
I could go back and understand how it worked again.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I think half my views on YouTube are all to do with me just going back and rewatching my old videos. How does like this formula work again? And like what does this even mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the secret behind it, is like no formal education in terms of like learning things. So just went ahead and just started to learn things and learned it out loud. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's worked for me anyway.
Yeah, that's a very common path I found so far. And almost everyone in fact, everyone I've spoken to, not a single person has any kind of formal training. That might change in the next few years because there's a few people doing courses around Power Platform and getting people into Power Platform in a more uh, methodical training kind of way. Whereas I think our generation that got into Power Platform went before it was Power Platform, obviously in the Dynamics days, we kind of fell into that through end user business, whatever it was. More often than not, my path's almost exactly the same as you. I just did it a little bit sooner than you, I think, because I was on the end user for 3 years before I was like, no, I want to be a consultant. So I went off and did it straight from that point. But yeah, no sort of formal education seems to come across. But also, a number of people have said that the only reason they do blog posts or videos is exactly that. It's so that they have a record of their own, exactly that, their own memories.
Yeah.
I'm interested. So you approached it quite methodically then, by the sounds of things. But for each video, so did you have like a list of everything in Power Automate or Flow at the time that you wanted to do a video on and just did it one by one? Or how did you approach that?
I would love to say yes. I would love to say that it was all planned. It was mainly so at the time, it was mainly like, okay, let's map out the next 5 videos. It's like, let's map out all the control section. So how does a condition work? How does a condition differ from a switch? How does a condition and a switch differ from a parallel branch? Let's go through all those components. So
Mm.
I kind of did it from that respect. When I was going through all the expressions, um, I just went one by one. So like, right, okay, this is the string expressions. These are the conversion expressions. These are the all the other expressions. And I just went one by one, and I'd go in and I'd like try and figure it out. Um, just an FYI, if you go and read Microsoft documentation about how some of these things work, it's not the most user friendly. So some people could say, why did he just make a video of Microsoft documentation? I'm here like, if you think that the Microsoft documentation explains these expressions in a way that people understand, I think you really underestimate how well written that documentation is. And even like so, as I started to go through the documentation and started to go through the expressions, I started noticing just documentation that was just wrong. expressions and examples that did not work
Hmm.
in the documentation. Back in the day when I could make a pull request and actually merge those changes in and say, hey, your documentation's wrong. Let's go change it and add the correct syntax for this thing. So I was doing great work for Microsoft at the same time as well. Like I was making content for people to be able to absorb something in a different way that isn't text,
Hmm.
but also fixing the text that is there for people that do want to absorb it by text as well. So, so yeah, in some respects, it was methodical. And then once I got off the expressions and stuff like that and started to move on to connectors and how connectors worked and the different types of connectors, it was really eye-opening for me to like learn how all the different things work. So I mean, we
Hmm.
we work with probably like the Dataverse connector, maybe the SharePoint connector and stuff like that. But learning how like, well, how what does like the select rows do and select columns, and like how does this work, and then how does fetch XML kind of like work in relation to the OData queries and
Hmm.
all these sorts of like weird combinations that I just spend loads of time fiddling around with like different connectors and like run them in different scenarios
Nice.
to see what the outcome was, because not again the documentation was not always accurate.
Yeah.
So like to try and figure those bits out was kind of fun for me. So some of it was methodical, some of it was like, right, okay, what can I this day 300, where are we at? What we got left? What can I do
Jeez.
in some regards? And like some of it was actually fun as well, because during this process they released Power Automate Desktop,
Hmm.
or whatever it was called at the time. I can't remember. Maybe it was like some, I can't remember what the original name was.
I
I
think
think it was Power
did
Automate Desktop.
did they not just call them desktop flows to begin with, and
Desktop,
then they
yeah,
finally rebranded, so now it's RPA, and well, it is a
yeah.
form of RPA. I don't know
So
that side. I've not spent much time with, to be fair.
I remember it was like a Ignite or Build or something, and they're like, "Oh, and it's available today." So I went, "Okay, let's go." So like, went up to my desk and like downloaded this Selenium installation thing in the browser and started clicking around with it and released a video the next day on it. So it's like that was
Jeez.
like a fun thing to do. I was one of the first people to have a YouTube video on desktop flows,
Nice.
um, which meant the video was right very high because it came right after Microsoft. So
Hmm.
if you watch Microsoft announcement on desktop flows in YouTube, mine would be the next suggested video. Like, hey, you'd like to learn about desktop flows? This guy's got a video on it. So for like a very short period, I was like getting all the views off of Ignite, which is kind of handy for me to grow the channel a little bit.
Nice. Very, very nice. Cool. All right. So that's the videos. That was 2019. You said Manchester user group. Were you involved in that before the videos then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think from probably about maybe 2018,
Hmm.
something like that. So there was the original user group was founded by someone called Anne and Joe Griffin
Hmm.
and someone else, who I can't precisely remember his name, but I remember him not being around for too long. But they were looking to expand the team, and I was in Manchester, so I volunteered to go help with it. So we ran a number of events through, I think it was 2018, so 2018 and 2019,
Hmm.
and then everything like shut down start of 2020, so moved everything to virtual. And that was loads of fun. Like we used to do them in Manchester and like go out for drinks afterwards and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I met some great people at these events. Like there's a guy called Rob, who I met, and like we were both kind of stood in the corner at the very first Manchester user group before I was involved in it, because Anne and Joe ran the first one.
Hmm.
Before I was involved in it, and we were just trying to like we didn't know each other, like didn't know anyone, so like we just started talking, and we still talk now and stuff like that. He pings me every now and again to talk about pipelines and talk about other things. So it's nice to make friends that you kind of know for years from these things. So yeah, just thinking about it, I've known him for like six years now, 6+ years,
Yeah. Good guy,
and
Rob.
stuff. So yeah.
Um, cool. So was that your first? Was the So I like to talk about Power Platform and the community. So what was your
Yeah.
first experience with the community then? I assume that wasn't your first experience because that would have been,
No.
yeah.
So I again, like going back to like end user days, it was kind of like looking at blogs
Hmm.
about how these people
Yep.
like did things. My first like community thing was I'll take you back in time a little bit if like, and some of your listeners might remember his name. There's a guy called Adam Vero.
Ah, yes, Adam Barrow.
Um, so Adam Vero was a Microsoft certified trainer
Hmm.
who came to my old company to deliver some training on, I think it was like Dynamics 2016 or 2015 customization and configuration, and we did like a whole
Ah, cool.
classroom thing over 3 days.
Hmm.
So I got to know Adam, and then I think via LinkedIn I saw this thing pop up about CRM user group, and I thought that sounds like a good thing. So I asked my boss about it, and I said, "Hey, can I go to this event? It seems like it's free." And they're like, yeah. So like I went down to London, or to Reading specifically, to,
Hmm.
to Microsoft campus in Reading. I was like, I made it. I made it to Microsoft. This will be like the highlight of my career, like going to the Microsoft campus in Reading. Oh, little did I know. Um, and yeah, I went to this user group, and it was great to see all these people just giving up all their time,
Hmm.
and their knowledge freely. Like no one's getting paid for any of these things. They were talking about things that, in my opinion, were like light years ahead of what I was doing. It was like, if you remember like Cafe X chatbots,
Hmm. Yep.
that's probably a good like 6 or 7 years ago now when that came out, like the
Yeah.
first instance of chatbots inside of like for like Dynamics
Hmm.
and Power Platform and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember like seeing like Sarah Critchley, Adam Juro, Adam Juro, Strutt Juro, Adam Vero. It's a very similar name. Neil Parkhurst. Neil Parkhurst. I was there. Can I get a selfie with you, Neil? Like trying to take,
Oh, his
because
training guides were
I've
legendary.
I've read all your stuff for like all the
Yeah.
exams and things like that. This is great. I'm meeting like the one. I do remember like actually I fanboyed out over Ferritin today one day because like at a different event in London, we went out for a meal like the evening before the user group, and I was sat next to Ferritin, and he turned to me and says, "I'm Ferritin today," and I was like, "I know, I've watched all your videos because Ferritin did the Microsoft certification training for like
Ah,
2015, 2016. It was like, I
right.
think it was like 2013, 2015 exams.
Hmm.
So I'd seen Ferritin like on screen for like a good like 20 hours of watching his content. And I was like, I'm sat next to Ferritin today. And stuff like that. And it's nice that like I can call these people my friends now. I mean, they might not call me their friends, but that's a technicality. But no, it was great to see like this thing in this big auditorium at Microsoft HQ. And I was like,
Mm.
oh well, like Microsoft campus, and I was like, this is amazing. Like I want to do this more. Like I love
You
these
bit,
sorts of
you got the
things.
bug.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. So from there, were you then? Did you go down to the Reading sort of user group every chance you got? Like, did you? Where was that the closest at the time? It probably would have been the closest. The most going on was in certainly Reading and London at the time. Uh,
Yeah, so we went down to Reading a couple of times, and then they moved it to Paddington.
yep.
Not long after, I think like about a year or two after. And then it was not long after that that I think it was I think it was like a CRM. It used to be like the old Dynamics Communities CRM boards,
Hmm.
and because they used to be the ones that funded the events for us.
Yeah.
Um, they I remember Anne posting like, "Oh, we need a user group up north. So like let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's get off the pot and let's do it." So then she and Joe and others created the Manchester one, which I was involved with for a while.
Hmm.
Um, I'm no longer involved with that specific group. I'm my kind of role has changed. Um, we moved away from Dynamics communities when they kind of imploded,
Yeah.
like kind of in 2020, and said, "Hey, everyone, you have to fend for yourselves." And then when the likes of Andrew Bibby and the rest of us kind of got together, we said, "Hey, we want to make a UK user group. We want to make a committee of people to help support all the user groups around the UK,
Yeah.
that want to be under kind of our branding and our umbrella." So I now work with Andrew Bibby and Aretti and like Ferridan and all the rest of them to help support and establish new and existing user groups around the UK. So the Manchester ones under the umbrella, we've got like Bristol and Cambridge and Northeast or Newcastle, and Birmingham is a fantastic one, and the
Hmm.
Reading ones and London evening ones are all great. And then when I had my son, we all moved to Warrington from Manchester. So I was like, I don't really want to be traveling into Manchester to help with the user group. No matter how much I love the community, I kind of love putting my son to bed more.
Yeah.
So very sorry, but in out of that, I kind of went, you know what, I just want to stay virtual.
Yeah.
Like, so I founded the virtual user group under the same heading to allow me the freedom to be like, right, okay, well, I might not be able to put my son to bed because I'll be here, but at least I'll be right here. I can help him coming in from nursery. I can be here if there's any issues, like afterwards, my wife and everything else when she puts him to bed. So it kind of freed me up to again gain that little bit of time back where I'm not traveling somewhere, I'm not
Yeah.
driving somewhere, I'm not spending time in the car. As soon as my user group finishes, it's like boom, like I can help put him to bed. I can, do other things. So that's kind of the direction that I went in, which is kind of moving away from in person more towards virtual,
Yeah.
and also supporting other people as well.
Yeah.
Because there's still definitely gaps where people feel like they want to get together and do user groups and things like that. So
Hmm.
that's what we try and support in the Dynamics and Power Platform user group in the UK.
Very cool. Yeah, I've had Areti and Bibi on in the past talking about the different things. I have to say, you've put that together in a much more eloquent way than either of them really did. But we spent a lot of time talking about all sorts of things. So I love the pitch. I love what you just did. That's really good, and it kind of helps people that might be watching this to actually think about it. Because I don't know if it's I don't know how clear that's been in my previous conversations that exists. Like I know it exists, but I didn't know. I don't know if others out there do, and I don't know if we've been the clearest about it. But yeah, there is a group of people out there that support all the user groups that you see throughout the UK, or many of them at least.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a. Well, I don't know if the Spug fall in the same Scottish. Yeah,
No, they sort out their own funding.
yeah.
So and that was one of the reasons for it as well, is that we actually have it's not a charity. It's almost like not a not-for-profit either. Like Ferridan is the money man, so he's the one that can talk to all the accounts. But we basically have a company that we can funnel the sponsorship into,
Hmm.
that we can then disseminate out to the user groups to help them
Right.
with costs of like pizzas and things like that, venue costs if
So it's a social
required and
enterprise
stuff like that.
then. Nice.
Yeah, and we have a whole team behind it. There's a website, there's a marketing person, there's the paid, there's marketing tools, there's all sorts. So
I
like
didn't realize it
we're
was as professional as that. If I'm truly, I did
oh
not know
I
that.
mean like we may not look professional, but I tell you, we are. So
Oh
well,
no,
so
it's I'm gonna have to have a look at that again. That's really interesting because I in the past I've dabbled with various different user groups trying to start them, but the difficulty I find is consistency and actually sticking to it, but also having the right partners. You need to have the people that
yeah,
are because I don't think there's anyone that can do this entirely on their own. It's hard to do it on your own. You can. There are people that have certainly started on their own, but you get to a point where you just can't keep going without support because there's so much to organize around user groups, whether it's the speakers, whether it's the venue, whether it's the food on the night. Just there's a lot to have to think about it and deal with, and just one person doing all that alongside, like you say, family commitments, work, and everything else that everyone has in their life. It's tricky. So you do need, at the very least, two people. And we did for a little while. We had the virtual, what did we call it? VPS, Virtual Power Platform Scotland. So you helped out with that. That was COVID times as well, I think, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
And there was a few of us here in Scotland trying to build that sort of virtual community. But it kind of it ended up stopping after a little while because we we weren't all able to be committed the whole time,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It is more of a commitment than I think people realize out there. Anyway, that's a nice little trip down memory lane. I like that.
Yeah.
So, what is community for you these days? So you have your young son, so it's still lots of virtual. But what do you see as community these days?
Um, I think one of the best things I've taken away from community has been that there's someone that will help me with anything. and I'll do the same. So I remember like I've had I get WhatsApp messages from like Malin Martinez in Norway. Hey Matt, can you like I've got this issue with this flow. Can you like jump on real quick and help me figure it out? I was like, yeah, sure. I ping her questions about marketing and things like that. And it's nice because there's always someone that knows something. Like, hey, you got a portals problem, we'll talk to one of the Knicks. Hey, you've got like this problem, we'll talk to one of these people. There's always someone that will help you, and they'll give their time freely to help you with these things,
Hmm.
um, because they know that you'll do the same thing for them.
Hmm.
One of the things I did like is that it's almost like that again. It's another one of the things of there's a um, there's a person in every there's a person in every country. Like if you go somewhere, you can see someone that you probably know. So I went to Norway on holiday in November last year, like
Hmm.
November, December. My wife always wanted this like snowy cabin on top of a mountain, Mariah Carey lodge sort of thing. I managed to find it. It was great. So we went over as a family and stuff like that. But I sent a message to Malin and to Ahmed Najjar, who both live like around Oslo. And I said, "Hey, I'm flying to Norway. Do you want to meet up one day?" And like Malin was like, "Yeah, I've got some training one of these days. I'll come down and meet you." And we went round. They had like a festive village sort of thing.
Nice.
So we went and we went like a Ferris wheel sort of thing, and there's great video of my son wanting to go up a helter skelter, and like me and Malin are at the bottom and I'm recording it, and my wife comes down screaming with my son, and she's like ah, and then my son gets up and goes again. But like Malin came along for all this, and we just had loads of fun. And me and Ahmed, like we all got together and had drinks in a bar while we were waiting for something to open and stuff. And he was coming back from a meeting, and he's now to come to work at Capgemini with me. So I said, hey, he's like, hey, what's Capgemini like? I was like, well. Um, so
Nice.
it's nice that I have like that friend or that person in every country that I go to, like that I know will either be there for me or like can help answer a question, or I can help them, or
Hmm.
just a friendly face on the other end of and other end of the phone sort of thing. So
Cool.
um although my like in-person stuff has like scaled back a little bit,
Yeah,
the connection hasn't,
that's
which I
good.
think is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've talked about it with guests in the past, the differences between sort of in person and virtual, and I think there's a lot to get from both. Virtual is very nice. There's so many benefits around that. Not having to leave the house, being able to have that work-life balance or sort of fun life balance that actually that fits because you don't have commutes, you don't have to go out into the cold, and there's a lot of nice things there. And I think the virtual stuff you can learn just fine in a virtual environment in the same way I think that you can in person. The difference between in person and virtual is that the ability to speak to people is much easier in person. But that's just the nature of the beast. Because in a virtual world, I think once you get past like I don't know 10 people on a call, it's difficult to talk because then it's just the loudest person wins. It doesn't matter what you're trying to say. It's always that way. Whereas at least in person, you can pull someone off to the side and have a little chat with them or whatever else it is. So I like both, and I'm the same in that I'm very homebound. So I definitely prefer virtual still. I'm starting to venture out more into the great unknown of in person. But again, because my son's a little bit older than yours,
Yeah,
I've got to that point where I'm getting a little bit more freedom back. So I'll be at
yeah.
South Coast Summit again soon. So I'll be going to some more conferences in the coming years, which I'm looking forward to. Uh, cool.
I will not be at South Coast Summit, but
Oh,
there will be plenty of people at the Cat Gemini booth to entertain you and to talk to you, including like several well-known faces like Keith Atherton and
mhm.
Mike Hartley. So go get some hugs from both of them, or from Mike at least. Mike gives the best hugs. But yeah, I again like it was one of these things of not only do I have to like deal with like community commitments and stuff like that, but just this year I was fortunate enough to go on a training course, like a leadership training course that my company have offered me,
Mhm.
and it's been fantastic. But it has also actually meant several days away several
Mhm.
times throughout the year. So I was just down like, you know what, South Coast Summit's great. I really enjoy my time there, but I want to spend time at home.
Yeah.
Like it's one of these things of you have to just balance it, and you can do everything, but you can't do you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So
And that is a fantastic. That's a good callback to finish our conversation on. I have the rapid fire questions I want to go through with you to
sure.
close out, and then we shall call it an end. All right. So, favorite Power Platform service. I think I can guess this one.
Power Automate.
Yes,
There's
I thought that might be
SharePoint.
coming. Favorite conference?
Ooh, um, probably Scottish Summit.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely it's my first one. I still it resonates because it's Scotland, so it's always nice for that. But it is quite interesting that a lot of people are saying Dynamics Minds, but I think because that's such a different conference,
Yeah,
it's more of
I've
a
never
party.
been. Yeah, I've never been, so I can't say that one. I mean, close seconds probably like maybe a toss up between South Coast Summit and EPPC. I really enjoy EPPC.
Yeah, I've heard. It's funny that I didn't even know about that one until I think it was this year was the first time I properly saw it. I didn't realize it
Yeah,
was a thing before that, but then I I've been around community and around people that have been in the community for a while, but that doesn't mean I focus on too much of it. So there's a lot
mm.
out there, and that was one that I had no idea. But yes, it's something I'm going to have to go to because it looks particularly good. Last music you can remember listening to.
Danny Go.
Nice.
I think there are three great songwriters of this generation. There's Ed Sheeran,
Hmm.
Taylor Swift, new album drops on Friday,
Hmm.
Thursday. Friday, and Danny Go. Because my word, can I not get his songs out of my head? Because my son absolutely loves him. But he makes the lyrics like it's like Mozart. So
Nice.
it's
Excellent. Podcasts or TV?
TV. Sorry.
That's all right. You've got two of them side by side. You can watch two things at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had 2 hours with no other responsibility, what would you do?
Game. I'm really loving Hades 2 at the moment. So I'm just
Cool.
pretty obsessed with it.
It's funny. I've been playing games for a long time, but I don't game in the same way that some people like yourself do. I just play the same games a lot. So for me, it's any Grand Theft Auto I'll play as soon as it comes out because I grew up with that.
Yeah.
I loved Unreal Tournament growing up, and I love that first person shooter style thing. But for me, it's Age of Empires, which I play with a friend of mine, and Minecraft, which I play with my son. Those are the two big ones that I play most of the time.
So I was playing the Bluey game with my son last
It's
night.
a good
And
game,
remember Bluey
that.
game? It's a good game. Like we played the Peppa Pig one. It's a bit simplistic.
Yes, very.
But he's actually considering he's like 4 years old, nearly 4 years old, he can control it pretty well. But you just can't control it and press buttons at the same time. So
Yeah.
kind of share the controller a little bit and stuff. But he's really into mazes right now. So I promised him I'd go build him a maze in Minecraft. So I might
Nice.
have to go build because he's been watching like Minecraft videos recently, and just as they build mazes and stuff, he's like, should I do it? So one of my dad tasks at some point is to spend a couple hours build a maze in Minecraft for my son, and then let him play with it.
That's a really good idea. I never even considered that. So he's been let loose in the creative mode for I'd say probably almost a year now. And you're
Yeah.
right. It's intuitive. The control pad is such an intuitive thing that he's better with a control pad I think than I am. But I never really did. I never grew up with I grew up with PlayStation, but I was never that good. For me, it's always been keyboard and mouse. I'm a PC gamer first, so I find controlling with the control pad is always it's not as easy. Whereas I watch him, and he has picked it up so well.
Yeah.
But that's set aside. I need to make a maze. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I'm going to do that. He'll love that. Cool. All right. Books or audiobooks?
Both. I really like, so I have a Kindle Oasis. I
Hmm.
like switching back and forth. So it kind of be like I'm reading for a bit, then I get tired and I'll put the book down and switch over to the audio version and just carry on from where I was reading to.
All right. So on the actual same, because I know some people do both. One will be a different type of media, as in some people do audiobook only with nonfiction, and then the other way around, reading or vice versa. But I haven't heard of people say for the same book. That's interesting.
Yeah, so when you buy them on Kindle, you can add like the Audible version for like 1.99 sometimes. So I'll
Hmm.
do that, and then basically once I get to a point where I'm like, do you know what? Just want to close my eyes for a bit. I'll stick the headphones in. It carries on reading from the exact same point I was reading up to.
Huh. That's nice. That's a useful feature because yeah, if you had to try and track to where it is on either one, that would be a right pain. But
Yeah,
that's cool. I didn't know it did that. I'll have to look into that actually because I think I
yeah,
would appreciate that as well because I do find my eyes get quite tired quite easily when I'm reading.
yeah. It's a little known feature, and here I'm hoping it's still a feature, and I haven't just made it up.
I'm sure it is. And last one, glass half full or half empty?
Half full. Sorry, half empty. Um, I am well. If you
Half
talk to my
confused.
wife, I'm pretty pessimistic in life. But I just think it's better grammar, but half empty. So I don't know. But no, I would love to say I looked on the bright side a lot of the time, and I do try to say it. And I've been saying I've just had like a run of really bad luck recently,
Hmm.
just a bunch of things where just tiny inconveniences that have just annoyed me. Um, but it's one of those things that I've still got my health. Everyone's still like, I still have a job. There's a roof over my head. There's food on the table. What more can you need? So maybe I'm leaning more towards half full these days, but
I
t
think
typically half empty.
I like the question because I know it's simplistic, binary, and all of that. However, it's not for me. It's not one's better than the other. I know it
Yeah,
sounds like one's better than the other. You know, everyone thinks, "Oh, half full is much better than half empty," but actually, they're the same. They're identical. It's just your outlook and your view at that moment. And I think it's moment by moment. So some people, it's always half full. No matter what it is, they're just constantly positive. Some people, it's
yeah.
always half empty. Some people switch between depending on the situation. But it's a nice little interesting one to ask. But no, that is cool.
Getting very philosophical. So yeah,
And that's the way I like to end it.
yeah.
So, thank you very much, Matt. That has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you for joining me today. Um, and I really enjoyed that. So, thank you. And now
Well,
I'm going
thank
to
you
have
for
to go
having
and
me.
play Fallout because I haven't played it in a long time.
Sorry, not sorry.
That's true. That is days of my life gone.
Mm.
All right. Good night, everyone, and goodbye.